Let's get into a bit of programming. I've seen a lot of your clients, and they're incredibly strong.
Yeah.
So
So
I know you know your shit, or at least I think I do.
yeah.
What's some bench programming, some basic stuff you would like to say about it?
So my best success is my client Logan. You've probably seen him. I believe he's 19 now. He might be 20 now, but he very strong for his age. I took him from comp bench. I believe I'd have to look it up, but he's now benching 408 in comp, which was a big PR for him. It was like maybe 40-pound PR. I have to pull up his meet recap. But for bench programming, a lot of it is so. I have a couple very different lifters. I have this guy coaching. His name is Alex Medina, and he's only on 1 times a week frequency because he's definitely he's a long run bencher and he can't tolerate any volume. Like if I give him 2 times a week, he just kind of explodes. His forearms just don't like. He's a little bit older. He's in his 30s, so he's definitely a different case. But Logan, I think Logan is a more typical powerlifting like clientele that we'd be talking about. He's on a 4 times a week bench press program. I actually have him doing 2 times comp and 2 times of a longer ROM variation, which I think is a good reason for success. Getting too specific, like 4 times a week comp bench press, I don't think that's super beneficial, especially for someone with a bench like mine or Logan's. If you've seen Logan's, he also has a pretty low ROM bench, and he does kind of a modified Japanese grip. Actually, I didn't tell him to. He just started trying it on his own. He just internally rotates a little bit, almost like if you see Sean doesn't do a Japanese grip. He doesn't have a straight wrist though. He internally rotates that index finger. But for programming wise, I do. It depends on the client. Anywhere from 3 to 5 week blocks, pretty much. I don't really do any shorter or longer than that ever. But the sweet spot for most will be about 4, I think. And the variations are very important. So like a good setup, like if you're 4x, would be something like a 1 times comp, like just a full comp, 1 count pause day. No variation there, just like a comp.
Would that be the primary day?
Yeah, so primary day would be a comp, and it depends on the lifter because some will benefit from a primer. Like, say we're benching on Thursday, and that's the primary one I say. Some people will be better with a primer on Tuesday or Wednesday to get them prepared for that bench. But Logan does better off with a little bit more time between his sessions. So he gets 2 days before his previous session to his primary. So that's always very independent. And like for my programming also, I have 1 day between my last bench day and my primary. So I get primed pretty relatively close to my bench. And my friend Claude, I had been talking to him. He's programming himself. And that's one thing I talked to him about was he had 2 days of rest before his primary bench. And his bench progress had been not so great, to say. And I had talked to him about a couple things. And one of the things that he implemented was a primer bench day to get prepared for that primary,
Would that just be some tempo work for form or just very light comp bench?
It could be. It depends on the lifter once again. So it could be like, say we're doing week 1. It could be like something like same. So it could be either comp or it could be a Larson. It doesn't necessarily matter. You'd have to test both and see what prepares you better. Likely it'd be a comp day. Like for me, I have a comp day on Wednesday and my primary is on Friday. You most likely not going to want to do a super fatiguing day like Larson before your comp day. So another thing is a lot of my volume for me and my clients comes from our Larson day. Sorry. Or our extended ROM day. It doesn't have to be Larson per se. It could be something like just close grip bench or Larson. I have Logan doing mid grip Larson. It's just so I think a big factor for my success in bench, especially in the last 6 months, was really the implementation of a longer ROM bench day. So right now my current micro is three comp bench days and then 1 longer ROM bench day. So
that's more specific than I thought.
Yeah, so I would think most people would benefit from two more longer ROM days. But to be honest, I actually, despite like the stuff I wear, I actually am pretty well off muscle wise. It's kind of hard to tell, but I am pretty muscular.
You can tell with the pictures of you without your shirt.
Yeah,
what you post online.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell with what most I wear because I wear big clothes, but and my upper body is my strong point. I have a lot of mass on my upper body. My legs have been a weak point since I've been injured quite a bit on the lower body. But
Do you spam accessories, or how important do you think
yeah, so
accessories are for bench?
accessories are very important. Even the week ones, I'm pushing my accessories to 1 rep and remain. You know, it's a lot of tricep accessories. My chest accessories are actually very low. I only do 1 pressing accessory a week for the straight like a variation. Well, that depends on the microcycle I'm doing, but I'll do either dumbbell bench or like just straight up chest press. But we're pushing those real hard, and I've had uh in the past we've tried doing dips for me, like weighted dips, and I did not find success in that for me specifically. I know it's very popular right now, but for me, I was progressing my dips, and it wasn't correlated at all to my bench press. But I think that also has to do with how low my ROM is. That it was just too unspecific to my bench.
Would the sort of hypertrophy day be 2 or 3 days after your primary day, or when would that
No,
be?
so I actually so on my primary bench day, I do my heaviest chest workout as
Oh,
well.
okay.
So that's on the same day, but you're not going to want to do it on like the say Wednesday. Say look, you're benching on Wednesday. You're not going to want to push your chest too hard. Even though Wednesday we'll do some heavy triceps. I recover in time for that. So it's once again like it's hard to like give definite answers for stuff like this.
Of
It's
course.
all very much independent on the lifter.
Yeah, of course. So, what are your favorite bench variations that you like to program?
So my favorite for comp bench would be tempo, long pause, or tempo 1 count, either
You do
or.
4-2-0, right?
Yeah, but it usually ends up like 3.5, 1.5, But
Yeah.
I hit a pretty nice one this week with 375, so I was very happy with that. I was on Sunday, sorry. So and then my next favorite variation would just be Larson. Larson for sure is a big one for me.
Larson is more important for people who are like you, especially with a very big arch, so
Yeah.
that the back can recover, right?
And one thing I see a lot, which I don't quite understand personally, is these guys doing Larson press, but they're able to keep like 95% of their arch, and it's still like super low ROM. So I don't quite get the benefit of that as much, but it's still
You
longer
also have
ROM. But
big arch when you Larson, though.
yeah, but it's a good like triple my ROM.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I could definitely arch more on Larson, but that kind of defeats the purpose in my opinion.
Are
If
you
I
not a
was
fan of 3 count pause?
I don't really do any 3 count pause, but it can be good for someone who rushes pauses a lot. If you're cleaning closer to comp, maybe. But on a secondary or tertiary day, that could be good. I'm not. It's not that I'm against them. It's just case dependent again. And most of the time, I don't find 3 counts necessary. Anything 2 count is usually better, in my opinion.
Okay. And what are you doing right now? What's your bench programming looking like?
Well, right now we're on 3 comp and 1 Larson, and actually half of my weekly volume is coming. Oh, actually, sorry, this microcycle I'm running three comp and 1 close grip day.
Okay.
But my previous like 3 or 4 blocks have been they've been a Larson microcycle.
Okay, that's cool.
And yeah, so like I said, I'm doing about little over 100 reps a week. So and half of that is coming from a Larson day. Aiden jokes about it in my comment section sometimes. It's about the Larson 5x9, which was one of my days. I have a primary single on that day too, so it's pretty brutal getting through that.
That is pretty sick.
5 sets of 9, but it's very significant. You wouldn't think a day like that would have a big impact on your pressing, but it really does. That's been my driving factor, I would say, for increasing my bench press.
So you're more into accumulating volume rather than pushing intensity, right?
Yeah, so I start my blocks relatively light, and I do end, at least on bench press. Bench press, I push the intensity pretty hard by the end of the block. My last session before the 452 bench, I hit a 375 double on Wednesday. I'm still pushing pretty hard on every session. They're all very important. I can't, in the past I've slacked off on like the Larson day and just taking it too easy, and that really has an impact on the training more than you would think.
Really, I always came from the mindset that undershooting would be better than overshooting.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but you just really got to hit the RPEs instead of undershoot. Like obviously, there's going to be times where you go under, but it's not. If either way, if you're like half an RP over or half RP under, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Unless you have like some weird setup where you're benching the back-to-back days for primary and stuff. But
do you think that most people would benefit from trying to get their grip as wide as you?
No, I don't think so. I think it's very specific to me, and I'm such a tall lifter compared to most that there's a lot of people that would benefit from a more neutral grip bench, or not neutral, but like maybe pinkies on ring. It just depends on training history, stuff like that. Um, my client Logan at one point wanted to switch to medium grip bench because he thought he was stronger. So I gave him 2 days two separate primaries, basically one medium grip, one max grip, and it quickly became apparent he was better off max grip. So it's just you just need some kind of training history. I don't think you need to force being out wide. Like it just if you start with your like middle finger on ring and you feel comfortable there, there's no really reason to press it out. That maybe you'll benefit some, but it's just whatever you feel just most natural. For me, like I've obviously tried to do that with the ROM. I definitely I've chased the ROM, but I think for most it's definitely a little unnecessary.
It's interesting because you're 6'3", right? That's what you said?
Yeah.
And most people, especially when you look at the IPF, the taller they are, the more close grip bench becomes a trend in the higher
Yeah.
weight classes, and the more sync becomes a trend. And you're such an outlier where even though you're 6'3", you follow the trends of the shorter and lighter athletes at the lower
Yeah,
weight classes.
definitely. So I think it definitely is something to do with the fact that I've just been so technique focused. Like a lot of these bigger guys probably aren't chasing the low ROM bench, especially in IPF, obviously because they can't. Anyways, it doesn't wouldn't benefit
That's
them.
true.
But close, like Bob and people like that, you've been seeing switch to close grip because they have to. Like Bob, even flat back, closer grip is barely hitting depth.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that's crazy.
but
They have these
for me,
massive guts.
I still think like my if I were to train a close grip, like I do train close grip, but it's not by any means my intent to like super improve it. It's just another day to gain
Yeah.
mass that I could easily push into the fours. It wouldn't be a problem. But yeah, I don't think for most it's going to be better to super focus on ROM. Just most people just need to grow their muscles more, which I think is big focus of my training is just getting actually just bigger. That's been a big benefit for me too. Is just eating more.
Yeah, people say that bulking has the biggest impact on your bench more so than your squat and deadlifts. You find that to be true as well?
Yeah, it should have it on the squat, I would say as well, because squat you improve leverages, deadlift your leverage gets worse as you gain fat, but bench and squat would be the most improved. I'd say for me, it's definitely been bench because I've had quite a few like out of the blue injuries just on my quads and my back. I was doing a deload and I popped my low back and that set me back for quite a while. Like just
How do you get injured deloading?
yeah, it was literally a high bar set of 5 with like 315, and I just popped something in my back. So
Man, I always see you getting injured on squats.
yeah, so that's been something Aiden and I have been working on now for a while, and I think we finally found a method that's been working for me. I've been pushing them quite a bit harder now. I've been able. I don't know if you saw, but this last week I hit 210 kilo double, 463 for 2, and next week the plan is 496 for 2. But for me, it's been lots of. I think the biggest issue for me was intensity. I think I was starting way too intense for squat and deadlift and trying to push way too hard on the early weeks, and taking a step back and really realizing that my back downs in my week 1 don't have to be like in the 4s for squat, and stuff like that. So I think overall was just pushing intensity too hard on the lower body was giving me issues, because right now, like this last block I hit a 474 double, and my heaviest back down was like 390 the entire block. So, and before I would be like trying to hit like week 1 408 for back down and stuff like that, and kind of like the craft method, if you've seen them, Schwolfesser's method, it's more like bigger weekly jumps like Lucky Gillis is taking.
What's the method again? I don't know that one.
Craft. It's just Swolfesser's name for his team is Craft, Team Craftsmanship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Do you think that since bench is more technical than the other lifts, arguably not sumo, but bench is one of the most technical lifts, that there's more use for doing more singles on bench?
Yeah, so I think bench you need a single or something under three to 1 reps at all time, pretty much, at least for specifically high arch benchers. You need the skill. Anytime I've had like a primary with a top set over 3 reps, like my bench is detrained a bit. And anytime I've kept in a double, triple, or single, my bench progress has been much better.
Okay, that's sick. And then you do a bench single. It doesn't even have to be too heavy, and then you can make most of the gains and the back downs anyways, right?
Yeah. So I even have multiple bench singles. I have actually 3 bench singles in my current
Holy shit.
training. So, but none of them are heavy like the primary. Like so.
They're mostly for the skill.
Yeah. So to get some weight in your hands too, so you're not detraining in the week. Like they still have to be to a certain level of intensity. If you're doing RP4 for the single, it's not going to help you at all.
Yeah, of course.
But like my this last week's training, I hit 375 for the tempo single, and then I had a close grip single today actually, which was 342. So they're still relatively heavy loads.
It's RP7-ish, right? 8 around there.
For bench, it was about 6-ish for the comp bench, and then for close grip, it was actually like an 8 today.
Do you follow RP training?
Yeah, so all my sets are RP or suggested load from Aiden.
Okay, nice. Yeah, me too. Sweet. Anything else you want to add, man?
No, I mean that's pretty much it. I think I've covered most of the bases for bench. There's
Yeah,
like I said, I think for most of the improvement, as most people will just benefit from, instead of chasing the low ROM, just chasing muscle.
Yeah, spamming the accessory work getting huge.
Right? Yeah, because most people won't be able to achieve a bench like super low ROM. I don't know many 100 plus kilo lifters that are doing a bench form like mine. There's really probably like a handful of people, honestly. It's not many.
Yeah, I say the exact same thing when people ask me about sumo, because I have a super stereotypical upright Y-stand sumo.
Yeah.
And I tell people, you're not built for this, just focus on force production.
Yeah.
Because you can't lift like me, you're not built for it. Exactly. And some people obviously are, but the vast majority aren't, just like most people aren't built like you for bench.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Nope.
All right, see you. Thanks, man.
Yeah, not a problem. It was good talking.
Yeah, you too.